Today, let's make a paper clip that's going to clip on the edge of our journal. It's going to have pockets on either side and hold ephemera. We're going to start off by folding this piece of paper in half and sliding our paper clip on, leaving a little bit hanging off because we're going to add a charm in a little bit. Then I'm just going to fold it in half evenly on both sides. I'm going to trim it up a little bit here because it's a little uneven. Okay, now I want to glue this to hold this paper clip in place and create the base for me to build my pockets on. I like to get the glue good and around the paper clip so that it's held securely in place and doesn't slip inside this base. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same on the other side. And I think that I am going to just add a little bit of a slip of paper onto my paper clip that I can push down into the little trench. Since the base doesn't really fold down into that very well, I just want to add that extra layer to make sure it doesn't slip inside there. I've never had one slip, so I don't know that this is necessary, but it makes me feel better. Add a little bit more glue. And there we go. All right, that's the base of our paper clip. Now we can start building the pockets. Yep, it works. It sticks to the paper nicely. We're all good to go. So I want the writing on this piece of paper to be towards the top. And if it's towards the bottom, it's going to be hidden by the pocket. So I'm just going to slip the paper up a little bit and then add a pocket to the bottom. If you had double-sided paper, you could just cut this a little bit long and fold it up. It would be a lot easier. But the paper I'm using is not double-sided, and I'm using it to match the pages of my journal that I'm putting this on. So therefore, I have to make a pocket work where I add it to this slip of paper and not fold it up. So I'm just trimming this down to show the parts of the pattern paper I want to show. And then I'm going to use this darker brown to create my pocket. I'm going to fold it up on the bottom to create the pocket rather than gluing down the bottom edge, because I want it to be a pretty shallow pocket visually, but I want there to be as much depth to the pocket as possible so that my ephemera doesn't fall out. So we'll get this glued on, and then we're going to add this patterned paper on top of our flap that we glued down. That way the ephemera doesn't catch on that edge as you're sliding it in. Right, trim it down. All right, I think that looks good. So let's ink up our edges. Always ink up our edges. Just finishes things so nicely. I'm going to ink up my pocket as well before I glue that down. Ink the edges of my base just to make them blend in a little bit better and not be that stark white, because that always draws your eye. All right, now let's glue this down. Okay, now I'm going to glue down the edges of my pocket here. Fold it up, stick it down. Perfect. Now I'm going to flip it over and create the pocket on the other side in the same general fashion, using papers that will match the page it will be showing on. And again, I don't have double-sided paper, so I'm going to have to build my pocket the same way I did on the other side. I want these butterflies to be showing, sticking out of the pocket, so I'm moving this paper up a little bit so that they will be visible. All right, there we go. I could make the pocket out of the same paper, but I think it would look nicer if the pocket was something different. So maybe I'll use this scrap from this paper. I think I like that better, but it wasn't quite big enough. So let's pull in this piece and trim it down. I don't think I want writing on the pocket, so I'm going to use this piece, this section here, without any writing on it. There we go. We'll trim it down now. I don't need this much paper glued to the back, and you never know when this little scrap might come in handy, so we'll cut that off and save it. I'm going to ink up my pocket. Of course, I want to make a little tab here, kind of like that detail. It makes it easier to know what things are pockets and what aren't, so I do like to add that. I probably should have added it on the other side too, but I didn't. That's okay. Okay, let's glue this down. Going to ink up my base again so it's not so stark white. All right, let's get the edges inked on this piece and get that glued down as well. I like to kind of smush it around, get the glue smeared around in there real good. Oh, I got to get some of this stuff out of my way a little bit. All right. All right, and there we go. Pocket number 2. Make sure we didn't glue any of our edges shut. Looks good. Both sides are done. Now we can add our charm. First, I'm going to clean up a little bit here. And I've chosen this little dragonfly charm. I'm going to attach it with the safety pin, and I'm going to create a little paper background to make the charm a little bit more substantial and show up against something. All right, we're going to get these two glued together. Make sure that both sides are right side up. And I'm going to punch a hole at the top with my Crop-A-Dile here. And then we're going to put a little grommet in, and the grommet will look finished on one side and not on the other, so I'll have to put a little something on the other back side to kind of cover that up. But I really like how the grommets add a lot of strength to the hole, so it doesn't get ripped off as it's dangling on the edge of your journal. All right, there we go. Let's ink up our edges a little bit. Give it a nice finished look. Both sides. All right, let's assemble our little charm here. Here's the little piece I'm going to put on the back. It's just a little number circle left over from some other project, like a little black typewriter number. Let's add my charm, add my little background. And now we'll poke this little number on there. There we go. Get it attached to our paper clip. And there we go. Now we have a cute little dangly charm to hang off the edge of our paper clip. Okay, let's check it out inside our journal. So this is the first page where I am placing this pocket. There we go. And then I can put any kind of ephemera in. We'll just slip these in for now so you can see the idea. And then on this side, same thing. My pocket matches my paper, and I can slip in any ephemera in here that I want to. Creates just a little extra space for journaling. And there we go.